Good day, my name is Christel from Frans, Klerk, Independent Technical Analysts. Papi wanted us to look at silver. Now, silver is clearly caught within a symmetrical triangle, and let me remove that one, with the lower band waiting here around $16.95 and our upper band waiting here around $18.08. Now, a symmetrical triangle is an uncertain pattern. Why? Because if this upper band changes into a support, a bullish flag formation will be confirmed, which means the overall uptrend can continue. What do I mean by that? Since around May 2019, silver has skyrocketed from around levels of $14.50 all the way here up to around $18.89. It retraced a little bit, found support here around $16.54 and bounced again. So a bullish flag is seen as if this upper band changes into support, this overall uptrend is seen, this bullish flag is seen as a pause in an overall uptrend, which means it is also a continuation pattern. But the symmetrical triangle can maybe also break downwards. If silver changes these levels around $16.88 into a resistance, and take note how closely that red line, the 40-week moving average, is waiting at that lower band, we can see a lot lower levels. My stochastic indicator is not in overbought levels yet, but there is a divergence. So, Papi, if you want to consider a short, you can do it around current levels. Use a stop loss of around $18.29, and maybe you can use this target here of that lower band or even the 40-week moving average. I also want to highlight a possible lower high here, because we can see these levels here around $16.56 has been tested twice in early December. But also here in July, it was critical levels that was tested. But once the silver instrument found enough buyers to lift it through these resistance levels, it skyrocketed. So if silver starts to change $16.56, this trend line, into a resistance, we can see even lower levels. Why do I call it a lower high? Because silver found support, skyrocketed, found resistance and retraced, found support then and bounced, but found again resistance. So should silver continue to decline, once this level changes into a resistance again, the next lower high will be confirmed. Some might say, Christel, there's already lower highs on the candles. That is right. But as a pattern, it will only be confirmed below $16.56. But yes, rightly so. This high of this candle is a lot lower than the high of this candle on the 6th of Jan. And again, the high there of the 2nd of September. Stephen wanted us to look at Transcap. Transcap, a share that I think a lot of investors had to be very grateful that they have bought it, and we can see that the momentum to the top is clearly in place. Yes, on my stochastic indicator, it is almost in overbought territory because it is consolidating above an 80. But I would also like this longer moving average within my stochastic that is only sitting at a 61. I would like that to be overbought as well. So at the moment, we can see the momentum to the top is clearly in place. But even here was an example of a bullish pennant or a bullish flag formation where it was an overall uptrend. There was a small pause, and look how beautiful they tested that 40-week moving average, that red line. They could find enough buyers to lift it again above it, and it's clearly rising to higher levels. What can we use then as possible targets, Stephen, for Transcap? So what we can do is we can maybe use these Fibonacci levels. And you can either use the shadows or the real bodies, wherever you find the most support. But if let's just make that line a little bit lower, I think there's more touching points. So a possible target is around 25 Rand 23. But take note of these two candles. I want to zoom that out a little bit. You can see that almost at the same level, they're around 24 Rand 55, and this week around 24 Rand 44, Transcap found resistance. Now, technically, if the share continued to decline and on a Friday close, you've got these two resistance levels, some might say, hey, this might be a possible tweezer top formation. But look how far below that tweezer top will only be confirmed because of this massive candle. Let me take that off the table. Only below this low here, around 21 Rand 78, will that possible tweezer top be confirmed. But also take note again how closely that is to your 40-week moving average. Below the 40-week moving average, it will change to negative again, or even below the low of that candle. Will I short it? No, I think the overall momentum is still in place. Look at your stochastic indicator and use those Fibonacci levels as possible targets for the upside. Stephen wanted us to look at Santova. Santova, a share that I almost compare to a naughty child, because if you look at its history, it likes to consolidate and make these massive spikes, but in the overall, over a period of a year or 2 years, actually just consolidate sideways. Now again, Santova is at a consolidation phase. Since here, out of about the week of the 23rd of September, it's just been consolidating sideways with no clear action to its side. And even the last 2 weeks, if we think about how much the market retraced, we cannot see a negative sentiment in Santova at the moment, which is seen as positive. It means that they sold off other shares, but not Santova. So technically, Santova would be seen as positive when that level around, and let me give you the exact level, above R1.75, this consolidation base of optimism will be confirmed. Obviously, the strong level that needs to be overcome, Stephen, on Santova is waiting at that 40-week moving average, and that is at R1.93. Because above the 40-week moving average, the long-term sentiment towards the share changes to positive. When will Santova be a concern again? When it changes R1.51 into a resistance. So if you want to buy Santova, buy it above that R1.75, use R1.50 as a stop loss, and then see what it does at the 40-week moving average. If it keeps it at resistance, it will be that bell that goes off and warns you that you have to maybe consider taking profit. But if it continues to keep it a support, and remember this is a weekly graph, so it needs to be on a Friday close, then it can be a nice target or even massive upside that we can see higher levels on Santova. Asif wanted us to look at Impala, a share that really were one of the stars of 2019. But we said last week the level there around R136.47 is a strong level that needs to remain a support. Otherwise, below it, Impala would become a concern. And last week, Impala did close below R136.47. But we can see this week that they are trying to protect it again. Yes, I've got a divergence on my stochastic. My shorter moving average within my indicator has broken downwards, and that implies loss of momentum, and we can maybe see lower levels. The other concern, Asif, on Impala for me is the fact that I've got a candle here that has not managed to even go to the opening level of the previous candle, and that was around R155.55. This week when it opened, you could see that it immediately got knocked down. And how do I see that? With that long upper shadow on my candle. And this is called a teardrop candle, because I've got sadness in the candle, yet it looks like as if it might be positive. So below R136.47, I will be concerned about Impala. Will I short it? It will be a brave short, but you can use R136.47 as your entry level or below that, and 157.11 as your protection level. If we look back and we look at the history, we've identified that R157.11 as a critical horizontal line that was honored in the past at a strong support or resistance level. So I would use that as a possible stop loss. Again, I've said before, if the platinum price continues to rise above $1,000, I would be very careful to short all these platinum stocks on our exchange. Ishmael wanted us to look at Mediclinic, one of my favorites of 2019, and that beautiful double bottom has played out now, but we can see that it is consolidating at the moment. It's three touching points there at the top, but I would like Mediclinic to start to consolidate above 78.15. Yes, my stochastic has broken downwards, so it can even maybe decline back to this 40-week moving average, and that is waiting at around 65.43. So only when it is maybe oversold, that would be the ideal place to enter Mediclinic. And it will be interesting to see what it does when it starts to consolidate here around 71 Rand 37. Because that is clearly previously been a strong support. So if the share then keeps these levels, 71.37, a support, it will be seen as positive, and it will be seen that the buyers are protecting the share at these levels and that they don't want it to decline further. Yes, if the 71.37 changes into a resistance, it can easily go and test this 40-week moving average. But above that level, they're around 17.8 Rand 15 higher levels. So ideal place to enter now is to maybe sit on your hands, wait for that stochastic to be stretched to a side. Will I consider a short here? No, I won't. It's coming from a very low base. It might be just confirming higher lows if it pulls back and changes that upper band into a support. And keep in mind, the long-term sentiment towards Mediclinic is still positive. It is still consolidating above that 40-week moving average. Kevin wanted us to look at Tencent in Hong Kong. Now we know the decline we've seen in the last 8 days on our stock exchange was a big part of the coronavirus and the fear around it. And Tencent in Hong Kong had an impact because of Naspers and Process on our side. But Kevin, I think this was a good pick, to be quite honest, because there are a couple of things on the Tencent graph that we cannot ignore. The resistance of $403 has been honored. Time and year in January, it's kept the resistance, but also year in April 2019. So if Tencent cannot continue to consolidate above, let's round it up, $400, and even you can maybe use the high of that candle, and the exact level is $413. If Tencent can't start to consolidate above it, I would be concerned. Use that 40-week moving average as your line in the sand. It's not looking good at the moment. Some might even call that a shooting star. Why? It's a candle with a long upper shadow, and that bearish candle confirmed the negativity. At the moment, it's also heavily overbought, and it has broken downwards, which means that Tencent easily can go and test that 40-week moving average waiting at 349 Hong Kong dollars. And then we obviously know what the impact of that will be on our local exchange.